What good am I? They've already told me I was no good. Now here I got this. I'm already bad. I'm already demonic. I'm already nasty and vile. And then here this comes. And then I try to assimilate myself back into life and the culture, and I can't, because people are telling me that I'm a criminal, that I am trying to hurt or harm them just by my existence. Y'all feel me? And so when I'm talking this morning and I'm talking so passionately about this, there is somebody out there that has been told that they are not worthy of having life and love and laughter because they are something other than what's normal. Now, here you are telling me that you understand it. Ooh, good morning. Hey, good morning to you. Wait, hold on. Good morning. Yes. Good morning to you. Good morning. I want to say good morning to everybody out there in the world doing what you do, being where you at, coming in where you coming in. I want to say good morning. Hold on, let me situate myself a little bit. There we go. And I want to say HOOAH. Yes, I want to say it this morning. I'm going to take a sip because I want to say HOOAH this morning. We're going to talk about it this morning. Hold on. Because it's a sip and not a slurp. Good morning. Yes, indeed. Come on in. Hey, Lucy Lou. Good morning. Hey, Fabulous 5-4. Good morning. You know I love all those O's and R's and INGs. Yes, indeed. Come on in. Lucy Lou say, starting the day with a Texas sip. Come on, Lucy. That's what I'm talking about. You better start the day with a Texas sip. Yes, indeed. Hey, Jasmine. Good morning. She said, good morning. Yes, indeed. Hold on. That's what I'm talking about. Good morning. Hey, particular. Good morning. Hey, y'all. Good morning. So y'all know what we do. Y'all know how we do it. Let's come on in and let's get it this morning. TikTok, y'all. Tippity tap, tap, tap. The middle of that screen. Let me know that you are in. Show me some love. Show me some hearts. Show me some gifts. Show me some diamonds. Show me some whatever it is that you want to show me this morning. It's all about you this morning. YouTube, Facebook, Insta, X, Podbean. Y'all show me some thumbs up. Y'all show me some hearts. Y'all show me some love. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you so much. Hey, Veronica. Good morning. She said, good morning, Titan, and good morning, all. Good morning to you all. Now, all of my military individuals out there, all of my service members, well, I don't know if it's all, but there is something, and it's going to be part of the topic this morning. There is something that we say, right, in the Army, in the military. That's something that we say that's universal, right? And a lot of times people don't know it, but we say HOOAH, HOOAH. Now, some of us draw it out and all that kind of stuff. You could say HOOAH. You could say HOOAH, right? Or you could say HOOAH. You know what I'm saying? So that's the word that we say. And what it means is basically it means yes. It means everything but no. It means that we're going to do it. Do you understand me? HOOAH. You going to do it? HOOAH. I can't hear you. HOOAH. That's the type of thing that it is. So this morning, we're going to be a little into it this morning. We're going to talk about it. But this morning's topic, right, is 8 years Army. HOOAH. I'm going to talk about a couple of things from my time in the military and talk about what it means and what's going on. Jasmine says, good morning to all the Capri fam. Good morning, Jasmine. I love it. So this is what I want y'all to do. This morning, y'all are going to be with me as I go through things, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to be about it. But I want y'all to put down in the comments if you can hear me, if you can feel me, if you can understand me, if you got my spirit. I want you to say HOOAH, HOOAH. But here's the thing. Y'all know at Titan in the Morning how we do. Y'all can put it down in the comments and put all the O's and A's and H's that you want to put in it. But what we want to understand, right? Okay, Jasmine. Jasmine saying HOOAH isn't very demure for a lady to say. No, Jasmine, it is. We have ladies, we have women in the military, and they can tell you that they can say HOOAH. Again, here we go, right? HOOAH is not, you don't have to say it like everybody else. It could be HOOAH, right? It could be HOOAH. It could be HOOAH, right? It could be, are you going to do this today? HOOAH. Are you going to push Fort Leonard Wood to a new height? HOOAH. Are you going to complete the process? HOOAH. That's however you want to put it. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. The King said, good morning, Positive King. Good morning. So, y'all, this is what we going to do, right? So, the topic this morning is 8 years Army. HOOAH. And so, I'm going to say HOOAH the way I say HOOAH, right? But I want y'all to do it with me. I want y'all to do it with me this morning. Because a lot of times people will ask me about my military service or the time I spent in the Army, and I don't really talk about it a lot, right? I don't really talk about it a lot. However, right, I am a veteran. I was a soldier. I have duty stations. I have stories and all of this good stuff like that. So this morning, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the part, because someone said, you hardly ever talk about, you know, your military time. And so I'm going to talk about what it means, but 8 years Army. HOOAH. So I want y'all to put that down in the comments. Come on. Y'all can do it. Hashtag HOOAH or just put HOOAH down in the comments. You don't have to be ex-military. You don't have to be military. But those service members that know, y'all know. Y'all know what HOOAH does. HOOAH was the answer to everything, right? If you was going to do it, if you was going to complete it, if you was woe-eyed and you only had an ounce of strength left, you would say HOOAH and you would push through. You would move on, okay? Hey, good morning, Tiffany. She said 3 and 7. Yes, indeed. Good morning. Ooh, yes, indeed. That was a good old sip. Good morning. Hey, good morning. Hey, Podbean. Good morning. Good morning to you this morning. Hey, for Q, good morning. The King said, HOOAH? Yes. Come on, give me all those O's. And look, this morning, now y'all know we normally do good mornings, right? With all of that. But I'm gonna shout out to my Army buddies, my Army personnel. I'm gonna shout out to my service members, right? Because I've met a lot of people during my time and I had a good thing. So I want to make sure that this morning, right, that we celebrate this. I got some stories. I got a couple of stories I want to talk about. But y'all come on in, tell a friend, like, follow, subscribe, show me some hearts, show me some thumbs up, show me some love. Y'all do all that. Hold on. Yes, indeed. Yeah, look. I don't know what's in the cup this morning. Y'all know what's in the cup. Look. I'm gonna tell it to you. HOOAH. I'm gonna tell it to you. HOOAH. 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 Yes. HOOAH. Ha ha. HOOAH. Ha. HOOAH. Ha. Look, now you know what? Somebody out there is gonna say, right, Titan, what are you doing? And I'm gonna say, HOOAH. That's all I'm going to say, because here's the thing. HOOAH means everything but no. Look it up. Look it up. I spent 8 years in the military, and my induction into the military, right? My induction into the military was basic training. And I learned the word HOOAH, right? Woo. Sometimes you think you're not going to make it. We're going to get into that. Y'all come on in. Hey, Miss Funky. She said, Grand Rising King. Grand Rising. HOOAH. Ooh, yes. Good morning. All right, y'all. So here's the thing. The topic this morning is 8 years Army. HOOAH. And so I talked about HOOAH. As y'all are coming in, I'm just going to explain it one more time because you're going to hear HOOAH a lot throughout me, through me this morning, right? But HOOAH means everything but no, right? HOOAH means everything but no. So if you are out there doing what you're doing, you are out there feeling some kind of way, you are out there thinking that you can't make it, HOOAH is what you do. HOOAH says, right, that it's not a no, it's a yes. Are you going to push through? Are you going to elevate? Are you going to do what you do? Are you going to be on that OP? Are you going to be on CQ duty? Are you going to do these things? HOOAH, that's what it was. It was universal, right? That's what it was, universal. Hey, Marcus. Marcus said, okay, HOOAH, heard, understood, and acknowledged. Period. Right there. Right there. Heard, understood, and acknowledged. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Marcus, for that. And thank you, Marcus, for your service, right? Some people don't understand, right, that's what it is. So I remember people around me saying HOOAH all the time, and I was just like, what is this HOOAH? But of course, I'm new to the military. I don't know what this is. What is this HOOAH that they're talking about? What is this HOOAH? I don't understand. However, I found out. Now, there is a definition that's out there. You can Google it, right? HOOAH. That's the way they spell it. So you can Google it, right? Me, I spell it differently because I add a whole, y'all know how I do good morning around here. So I add a whole lot of O's and A's and all of that good stuff, right? However, if you look it up, if you Google it, if you look at what it means, you could put military terminology, you could put Army words or things like that, but you just put in HOOAH, HOOAH. Put that in, right? And then you will see what it means. And what they will say as the definition is that it means everything but no. And so that kind of sums it up. But that's what it is. Hey, King, the HNIC, good morning. Hey, good morning to you. Hey, good morning. Look, y'all, good morning. The topic this morning is 8 years Army. HOOAH, that's what the topic is. I want you to say it. So look, let's do this. Let's practice, right? So somebody comes to you, right? Before we get into like the conversation this morning, because I'm a little hyped this morning, right? Somebody comes to you and somebody tells you, right? I'm trying to figure out who was it. Jasmine said, HOOAH isn't very demure for a lady to say, right? See, but I think there's different ways for you to say HOOAH. You don't have to say HOOAH. You can 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 say HOOAH. No, however you want to say it. But look, somebody's coming to you this morning and somebody's trying to let you, kind of go in on who you are and what you are and what you're doing, right? And they telling you, Titan, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. The King, you're not going to do it. King HNIC, you're not going to do it. Marcus, you're not going to do it. Tiffany, you're not going to do it. Stacy, you're not going to do it. Miss Funky, you are not going to do it. I want you to tell them, HOOAH. You're not acknowledging them. What you're saying is, hey, I got this. I got this. Titan, are you going to do HOOAH? Titan, you're not going to make it? HOOAH? Look, I'm going to let you know right now, I ain't got time for it. Hey, Stacy, good morning. Hey, Willie, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Marcus said, you can say HOOAH, LOL, okay. It still comes out my mouth at the time as everything okay to F off. That part right there. Hey, Mississippi 70, greetings. Good morning. But Marcus is right. So I'm ex-military. I'm a veteran. And I find myself sometimes people saying things and I'm saying HOOAH. And they're like, what is that? Right? But most people know, because if you know somebody that knows somebody that's been in the military, you know what that is, right? But just like Marcus said right there, true, you could say HOOAH. It doesn't matter in that instance, but just understand where it comes from. The meaning, right, is that everything but no, right? So just think about it like that, right? They're telling you you can't do it. They're telling you that you're going to fail. They're telling you that you are not worthy, right? And I'm going to tell you HOOAH because I am worthy. HOOAH because I will make it. HOOAH because you can't stop me. That part, right? You got muscle failure? HOOAH. Nah, just kidding. You ain't gonna be able to do no more push-ups. You gonna clean them barracks? Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, Sierra. I think that's how you say it, Sierra. Sierra said, HOOAH means heard, understood, and acknowledged. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, it does. Right? But again, what I'm saying is, and thank you for that, Sierra. And the same as Marcus said, we know that it means heard, understood, and acknowledged. If you look it up, right, the definition says everything but no, right? That's what it says if you Google it, things like that. So for those that are Googling it, hearing it for the first time, I want you to make sure that you understand what it is, right? When you go and you look at it, because someone just said, oh, it means everything but no. Yes, it does, because that's what the definition says if you Google it, right? However, those of us that are service members, those of us that are veterans, those of us that have been through it, we all understand. I heard you. I understood you. I acknowledge, right? Air Force, 6 years active duty. Indeed. Thank you for your service here. We appreciate you. Stacy Allen said, love your energy. My son says, I'm an emotional vampire. Maybe I can feed off you. Well, then you come on, because these emotions this morning are lit. Okay, this morning. Well, you know what? You just come on back at any time, Stacy, because every Tuesday and Thursday, this is how it is. So you can feed off me a little bit. All right, y'all. So 8 years Army, right? HOOAH is what it is. So we're going to sprinkle it into the cup. And I want to just talk about a couple of things, right? This is not a dig. This is just my journey. This is what I went through as a military personnel. This is what I went through. This is me talking about me being a veteran. This is what I went through, talking about going through basic training, going to AIT, going to my duty station, digging foxholes, doing OP, doing CQ, doing all of the things, right? And I'm not going to talk about everything, but I want to talk about a couple of things, because sometimes people will tell you, because you don't mention the military, y'all know my story, and this is why I'm saying this, because I was just talking with someone. I just did a Pride event at the VA here in Houston, and I'm over at the Veterans Administration, and I did this event, and I talked about how some of my battle buddies and some of my Army personnel that I know, and then I'm not just going to say Army, because I'm going to say service members, because I met a lot of individuals from different branches, right? They were suffering in silence. They could not be who they were and things like that. So a lot of times people will say to me that, Titan, you don't talk about your military experience. However, I don't talk about it like all out here, but my family, my village, my tribe, my gang, and my chosen family, they know, right? Because we talk about these stories all the time. So I'm going to talk about 2 stories in particular. And if I can get to a third one, I'll get to a third one. So y'all grab y'all cups this morning. We're going to talk about it. We're going to sprinkle it into the cup. 8 years Army, HOOAH. That's what we're going to put into the cup. Remember what we said about HOOAH, right? Remember what we said about HOOAH, right? Okay. Yes, indeed. Come on in. Come on in. No. So remember what we said about HOOAH. HOOAH means heard, right? Understood and acknowledged, right? I heard you. HOOAH, I heard you, right? Understood, right? I understood what you said. You ain't got to tell me twice. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, soldier? Did you hear me? Did you hear me, private? Did you hear me? Did you hear me, sergeant? Did you hear whatever it may be? HOOAH, I understood. I got you. I got that. And I acknowledge. Oh, you gonna push up? You gonna push Fort Leonard Wood to a new height? HOOAH, even though I'm at muscle failure and I just can't do no more. What do I say? I'll say HOOAH, period, right? And so a lot of times what people say is like, oh, thank you for your service, right? And I'm always grateful and I'm always thankful for my service. It was 8 years. I went into the military, and I'm going to talk about, I'm sorry, y'all. Let's put it into the cup and let's sip on it first. Let's sip on it. 8 years Army, HOOAH. Yeah, see, there we go. Look, I'll sprinkle it in. Y'all ready? Okay, hold on. Some of y'all may think it's a slurp. It may sound like, it may feel like, it may look like a slurp, but it's a sip. So, 8 years Army, HOOAH, right? So, let's go back. Let's come in. Hey, good morning, LH. Good morning. Yes, indeed, indeed. Okay, so my military personnel will tell you what HOOAH means. So I want to say this. So I am a little bit older than most. Let me take these glasses off for a second because I want to make sure. Look, I'm seeing y'all. Indeed, Rain. Good morning. She said, HOOAH, heard, understood, and acknowledged. Indeed, indeed. So this is what I want to say to you all this morning. So I went into the military in 92, right? In 92. We were around Desert Storm, Desert Shield. My basic training was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We used to call it Fort Lost in the Woods because it was out there and it was cold. And I am a Texas boy, Houston native. I am a Houstonian. I had never been anywhere that cold before. It was a trip to get there. I had to travel. I had never traveled that far away from home before. And so I remember being in Hallettsville, Texas, going to the, I want to say the MEPS in San Antonio, I believe. And I remember being sworn in. I remember them giving me my duty station. Well, not my duty station, giving me where I was going for basic training. And then we talked about your MOS, what that would be. And so y'all, I think back on a lot of things now, and I remember being just kind of excited in a sense, but actually scared because I was leaving home, I was leaving my family, and I was going off, right? Somewhere I had never been. Now that was part of the excitement. The excitement was I basically wanted to go to the military. Okay, so let me put it this way. You know how you see things, and my grandfather was in the military. My cousin was in the military. I believe that another female cousin of mine was in the military. And so you always, see this. You always see the commercials. And I remember those commercials. And I don't know if you all remember that, because I did say that I went into the military in 92. So that was a ways back. For some of you weren't even born yet, right? I remember the commercials. We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day, right? And you saw them marching and in their BDUs and in their camouflage and boots and hats and all of that stuff, right? And I said, Veronica says, I'm not military, but I'm here working at the VA. And my coworker said, good morning. You tell him I said, hey, Veronica, you tell him I said, good morning, HOOAH. You tell him I said that. Tell him I said, good morning. Indeed. Hey, Marcy. Marcy said, good morning. Good morning. So a lot of times what will happen is that you will see, let me go back, right? So I'm new to everything, going into the military. And hold on, let me come back. Okay, so it's 92. I just graduated high school previously, and then the following year I'm on my way. I'm going, right? And so you think to yourself that you see these commercials and you say to yourself, this is what I'm going to do. This is this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out. I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to fight for my country. I'm going to do these things. And you don't really understand or know, right, what's going to happen once you say yes, once you are sworn in the second time, right? Now, this is what happened with us. We said yes, and it was a preliminary, right? And this is how I'm speaking it. And some of you soldiers, some of you veterans may differ, may say that it's not what it is, but this is my experience, and this is how I experienced it. And then so you swear in for the second time, and then that means that it's time for you to go. So you pack up because you done packed all your clothes and everything, you know, what you need or whatnot, and you're shipped off. I was shipped off to Fort Lost in the Woods. We call it, it's Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, but we call it Fort Lost in the Woods. And so I was shipped there, right? The reception was great. I had never traveled. I had never been on a train in the airport, or I don't know what it's called, a rail or whatnot. Like, this was totally different because I've never flown this far before, right? I go out, they got everything for me. I'm going in, I get there, and then I get out in Fort Leonard Wood. Well, I get out in Missouri. It's cold, y'all. This is like November, right? This is like November. I joined in like the end of the year, right? It was cold. I had never been that cold before. I had never seen that much snow. I had never, like, it was crazy, right? And so a lot of us from the South were in this basic training. And it's funny because I got my basic training yearbook over here somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it. But it's funny because a lot of us were from the South. Texas, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi. I see you over here, Mississippi. Like, we were from the South, and we were all being taken to basic training that was in Fort Lost in the Woods. So it was a culture clash or a huge difference from what we were used to. I didn't know anything about a wind chill, right? I didn't know anything about a wind chill, which I would further learn more along my career because of my next duty station once I got an AIT. However, that's what it was. So anyways, it was this whole new world. Like, I was like, what is this? What's going on? And I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all watch these commercials, right? And y'all say, oh my God, that looks good. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this for my country. I'm going to do all this stuff like that. And then when you get there, right? When you get there, y'all know this is what it is. This is not a badge. This is not, I'm badgering. This is not, I'm talking down. This is none of that, because I don't want you all to do that. I'm a veteran. I love my military time, but this is my experience, right? And it's crazy. I have to give a disclaimer because people seem, every now and then somebody will say to me, oh, you sound like, well, you hated the military. And I'm saying, no, I didn't hate it, but I'm going to be real about my experience, right? I didn't, like, people will say, oh, well, you didn't earn that. How did I not earn? You know, y'all, hold on. Let me just, woo. Okay. So anyways, so I get there and this is basic training. I don't know what was to come, but I know they had to build me up, right? I know that they had to work me into shape. They had to make sure, right? I remember us coming in. We already shocked. Some of us have flown for the first time. Some of us have left their parents for the first time, of their families. Like, some of us don't know like what's going on. We're like in a whole new world. We're like on an alien planet is what it was like. But it was a culture shock going from this to that, right? So I'm going from warm Houston weather, Texas, up to Missouri, right? Fort Leonard Wood, where it's freezing cold and there's a wind chill. I didn't know anything about cold weather training. I didn't know anything about a wind chill. I thought that's what it was. So down here in Houston, in Texas, like right now, it's a temperature, but then it's a feels like temperature as well. And I don't know if you all understand or know that. Those of you who are in the hot areas or humid areas, you may understand that, right? Because the temperature will say 97, but it'll tell you that it's a feels like temperature. It feels like 104 or 103. So it was the same thing with the wind chill, right? The temperature was 20 degrees. Let's say I'm gonna give something higher than that. Let's say the temperature was 35 degrees, but with the wind chill, it may have been 20, right? So 15 degrees off. That wind coming through, that hawk, as we call it, was coming through, swooping down on us. And we were like, what is going on? My fingers ached, my toes ached. I got frost nip. So my whole face throughout my baklava, right, turned black. All of this, right, my skin burned, right? All of this, I wasn't used to it. I didn't understand my eyelashes having icicles. I didn't understand that my baklava being stuck to my head because I doing PT and then I have to pull it off and it's ice. And when we do our, like, it was something that I didn't really like get, right? And so a lot of people will say, oh, well, Titan, you know, that's just what it is. That's how it goes. But think about this, from somebody coming from a that's never been away from home, that's never experienced these extreme temperature changes, that has never seen snow, that it was like 5 of us that were from the South that we kind of got together and was like, hey, you know, this and that. But it was crazy. You know, it was crazy because we had never experienced this, right? And so a lot of times people will ask me about my military experience because they're about to go into the military. And I tell them that I want you to go in, right, acknowledging what it is, because sometimes it will not be what it seems to be. It will not be what you think it is. It will be something else. And that's not badgering it. That's not saying it's bad. That's just saying that's real life. And so I had a couple of younger individuals here lately after I did my Pride event for the VA. They contacted me and was like, hey, I'm thinking about going into the military. What do you think? Da, 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 da. Right? And so we were talking about that. We were talking about don't ask, don't tell. We were talking about all the things that came before. And so I just imagine me being in the military and not being able to be who I am, right? On top of the culture shock, on top of the difference in temperatures, on top of leaving my family. All of these things were happening. And someone said to me, well, Titan, you should be glad. You know, thank you for your service. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for acknowledging that. I have no qualms with that. Well, Titan, how was your military experience? Well, let me be real with you. Well, Titan, how was basic training? Let me be real with you, right? So a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to speak on those things that may not be favorable. You with me? But hold on, y'all. I got a little story. Hey, Bree, good morning. She said, good morning, friend. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, indeed. Yes. 8 years Army. Yes, 8 years Army. Yes, I am a veteran. Indeed. So I got an appointment today as well, right? Bree said, I would love to hear more about that. Indeed. So I wrote a letter to my moms, right? Doing my basic training. We did, hold on. We did training. I'll never forget this. I remember Mama we talk about this from time to time because she says that the letter was like very disturbing, right? But the letter was me just telling her about my experience. So I told her about the gas chamber, right? And The thing that gets me is that so in my latter years, I've been through a lot of trainings and I've had certifications and things, and I didn't understand how deep my trauma ran, right? I didn't understand how there are things that I do now in my life that I was affected by back then, right? And they see you through this training, right? And I don't know if anybody else can agree with this or even understand where I'm coming from. If you've been in any branch of the military, if you go through your training, so what they do to prepare you for any type of attack, right? Nuclear, biological, chemical. They prepare you for it, right? And so there's a thing when we so we go through a training course, right? And part of the training course is for us to go through the gas chamber. So we knew it was coming, right? And while I'm speaking of this in particular, it's two things in particular that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the gas chamber, and I want to talk about our rucksack marches, right? Yeah, I'll explain that. But so we go in for this training to the gas chamber, right? And so they have this canister of gas, right? And basically they pop the canister, but they don't let the intense force of a fresh pop canister affect you, right? So in the beginning, and this is what I remember. In the beginning, you run through. So you get into a line and you're watching people go in to the chamber and come out on the other side, right? You see them and spitting up and throwing up and doubling over and all this stuff. And you're like, wait, what? So you're with your battle buddies, you're here with your other soldiers, and you're saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. As soon as I get to the door, right? Because we had to put the gas mask on, right? And I believe, if I want to say, I believe that it was 14 seconds. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to think like off the top of my head. But anyways, you wanted to make sure you had a good seal, right? So the clock was ticking. Boom, put it on. Make sure you got a good seal. Put it down and make sure you're good. Now, if you didn't have a good seal, you would fog up. Your eyes would fog up and you would hear it, right? And it's almost sounded like we were Darth Vader. Like you would understand. So it was timed and you had to do it. So this was a thing. So everybody was doing it. Okay, Marcus talking about those memories. Man, let me tell you. Let me tell you. So anyways, so you see it go in. So we're saying, okay, so obviously they didn't seal their mask correctly, right? So we were outside practicing. Put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. Like we were trying to do it. They made us stand in the line. We couldn't move. We couldn't do nothing. But we could lean over just a little bit over here and we could see the people coming out. Like literally, y'all, like up chucking, like tears, crying. They want to go home. They want to do all this kind of stuff. So we was like, oh, no, this is not what's going to happen to us. We're going to be better than that. Let me tell y'all something. We got to that door and they said, time. We put that mask on. We put that mask on, right? And we go in there. And so you can still smell it, right? It's still hitting you, right? Because it's strong, but it's not like strong like if you were out in the field type strong or you were out in war. But it's strong enough. So it's coming through the mask, right? But it's not like messing with you like that. So we are standing against the wall over here. The other group that's up in front of us is getting ready to go out, right? So we're up against the wall and they asking us all kind of questions and we answering them and HOOAH and da-da-da-da-da and HOOAH and all, like we going in. And then they said, take off your mask. Do what? We were like, wait, what? So we thought we had made it. So we had came in, stood against the wall, right? And we made it down. All of a sudden, we get to the middle and they say, take off your mask. Not only that, so we're going to be smart. We're going to be smart. And Marcus, let me know if it happened like that with you. Let me know, or any of the other service members that are on here that went through the gas chamber. Let me know if it happened like this. So we get there and we like, okay, we can see the door. We can see the door. We about to be free. Baby, they said, take off that mask. We were like, now, soldier. We took the mask off, right? We took the mask off. We didn't take it off like just rip it off, right? We just took it off like, take it off. We took it off and immediately we said, baby, the eyes were running. You could feel it. People were like, it was crazy. Then this happened. Then they said, say the alphabet. What's your last name? Spell your last name backwards. What street do you live on? Right? Are you going to be a soldier? Or are you going to be this? And then for me, there was this saying, right? And y'all, this is what, like, sometimes I really didn't realize, like, a lot of things that were going on. A lot of people got disoriented, right? And they couldn't. Who knew the alphabet backwards? They came to me and they said, say the alphabet backwards. And back then, y'all, I rattled that mug off. They didn't ask me about my name. They didn't ask me where I was from. Then they said, basically, where you from, soldier? And I said, Houston, Texas, like that. Well, I didn't say it like that. Because, baby, everything was going. I was slobbering. I couldn't see. I didn't know what was going on. And then he said, then the drill sergeant, with his brim of his hat, said, boom. Well, okay, like hat against my forehead. And he said, do you know, soldier? Do you know there's only two things in Texas? Steers and queers. Which one are you? And then I didn't say anything because I was just like, I was going, answer me, soldier. And then I was like, I don't even know. And he said, okay, then, okay. What's your full name? So I'm going through a full name. And then he said, spell it. Like he made me stay there, right? So y'all, everything was going. And it was weird because everybody else had left out on this side except three of us, right? The guy that was from Mississippi, they asked him to spell Mississippi, right? But not just Mississippi, like spell it. You know how M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter. Like they asked him to spell it like that. It was crazy. Asked us all kind of things, address, all these things while we were in there, right? So finally, when they said, you can go, we got outside and it seemed like it hit us 10 times more when we got outside. That air, we were throwing up, we were doing this. So in the letter that I wrote my mom's, I told her everything came out. Everything. I didn't know I had that much fluid and liquid in my body. I really didn't. And I didn't understand at the time, right? But again, here we go. Like that was a shock to us. We did not understand, right? Now that was our first time going through, right? Then they had us come back around. For those that were not making it, you had to do that mask. You had to put that mask on and seal it, right? Just to go in, right? Just to go in and take it off. Just to go in and take it off. Okay, y'all. So it looks like see, this is crazy. See, y'all, this is why sometimes we don't want to tell the story or we can't do so. TikTok just gave me a strike because they said I'm using hate speech, and probably because I said the Q word, right? And I'm thinking that's what it is because I'm not I'm telling the story and this and that. And this is why a lot of times when people say, oh, well, Titan, you don't really talk about like your time in the military or the things that you've been through or your story, truly speak your story, because it's things like this. So now I'm getting strikes like about hate speech, about this and all that. And so I did, like sometimes it makes you not want to speak, but now I got to speak in code, and I can't tell you my true story because I can't say certain words on these platforms when they encourage you, right, to speak on it. So I just want to let y'all know that, like, sometimes it's crazy because, and then not only that, sometimes people will report you for saying things, right? And I know that this was 92. I know that, right? I know that. But it's crazy, right? Yes, Bree. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Insta. I'm on Podbean. Yeah, I'm all over. But it's always a tricky thing, right? Because I can't say certain words, right? They will demonetize you. They will strike you. They will do a lot of things. Half the time, I can't even tell you my experience, right? What was said to me, because it's considered hate speech. So anyways, so let me go on back, and I'm going to try not to speak on, say certain words, right? Because I don't want this live to be shut down. I did, right? I did. But Jasmine, see, but the thing is, and y'all don't want to say this because sometimes you're always defending who you are, right? And what you do. And even though you can appeal, right? Do you know that they will block you, right? So you're guilty until proven innocent. So they will block you. Like I have had my other lives be stricken. And then also too, I was talking about me at a Pride event, right? And I don't know what I said, but I had a lot of people on my live and saying, you need Jesus, you need this, you need all this kind of stuff like that, right? And then somebody reported me stating that I was using derogatory language or hate speech or whatever it was, and they just shut me down. So literally, they shut me down for 8 days. For 8 days. And then somebody said to me when I came back on live for it, they said, oh, Titan, we missed you. And I was like, I just wasn't live over here, right? I had to be live over there, right? Okay. Positive King said they can't shut you down anyway. You go, we follow. And that part right there. So I just wanted to let y'all know what was happening, because sometimes your live will be blocked, right? And you don't even know it because you are at a station. Like I have a station here and my TikTok is over here. My YouTube, Facebook, Insta, all that stuff is over here. So when the comments are going through, I'm seeing, but a big red exclamation mark popped up over here. And so y'all saw it stopped me because I was like, wait, no, I don't want y'all to cut my live off. But y'all, so that's what's been happening here lately. Anyways, so I'm going through and we come out the gas chamber, and basically we were to go through 2 times, right? But the whole premise of it, right, what we were told was that we could put so to practice putting the gas mask on, and you only have so many seconds in order to do it, to get a good seal. And we practiced this before we went to the gas chamber again and again and again, but it still did not prepare us for the fact that we had to take the gas mask off, right? Now, there's a method to the madness, right? We know what that gas smells like. We know what it feels like. So if by chance you get a whiff of it before it actually hits you, you got time. You right? Y'all got me? You got time to put the mask on and get a good seal. So, but does that take away the experience of those individuals who had never experienced anything like that before? And so there was always these things that were happening while we were in the military, right? But That's basic training. I haven't even got to AIT. I haven't even got to my first duty station. I haven't even got that far. I'm still in basic training. We did a rucksack march. I would never forget this. We did a rucksack march. Rucksack is like a backpack, kind of. So for those who may not know, right? It fits everything. You've ever seen those military commercials or those military movies where they have this rucksack on their back, which is like a huge backpack, and it's basically it fits everything in it. Well, we were training and we were going miles, right? And I didn't even know that your body could sweat like this, that your body would sweat and leave a white ring, right? So have you ever like tasted, I don't know, this is weird. But anyways, your sweat, your they're salty, right? Your body secretes like we say water, like your sweat and things like that. But if you've ever tasted sweat, right? And y'all probably thinking this is weird, but if you've been through any type of training, you've been through any type of thing, when you, sometimes it runs down your face and it gets in your mouth and stuff like that. So anyways, I was like, wait, what? So my arms around my neck, my back, where the rucksack was all, it was wet, but it was white when it dried. And we were sitting here saying, again, we don't know what this is. We don't know what's happening. And then we were like, what is this? Like, what's going on? And then you're taught, you get to know about these things that happen to people in extreme temperatures or extreme things, the sweating, the hydrating yourselves. I knew nothing about dehydration. I knew nothing about fatigue and all of that. I knew nothing about muscle failure, all of these things, right? And then we find out, right? We find out these boots are not made for us. Some of the boots back then were just regular boots. You had to figure out if you needed a wide boot, you needed a regular, you needed this. You had to put soles in. People were getting blisters and corns, and like your feet was getting messed up. Ingrown toenails, all of this stuff that you didn't really know about or you didn't understand, right? Also, we in basic training, we learn how, was it basic training or AIT? I want to say we learn how to make a bed. Like we learn how to make the corners. Like we want to make a quarter bounce off the bed. It was like things like that. We had cold weather training. They were talking about hypothermia, like all of these things that we knew nothing about because we didn't live in this part of the world. So it's crazy how you stand, and anybody that has been through basic training knows what that is, right? You're either good or you're not. And it was one of those things to where they said, anybody want to go home? And of course, people are like, yes, they want to go home. Well, if you want to go home, you go over there, right? You go over there. What we knew that we did not want to go over there and go home, because before you go home, now they couldn't stop you. They couldn't stop you, but you had signed on the dotted line and you had been sworn in. But if you had to go home, and a lot of times what it was is that you couldn't go home, quote unquote, if it was something not medical, right? Something that was stopping you. A lot of people had broken bones. A lot of people, anxiety, trauma, like a lot of people was messed up. We had one soldier that was just not built for the military. And some people are just not built for that. And I'm not saying that I was built for it. I was one of those individuals, and still is even now, that if you put it in front of me and you tell me that I can't do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to push through. I'm going to do it. Now, I know a little bit more now than I did then, but I didn't think I had an option then. But we saw other individuals saying that they wanted to leave, and we were just in basic training. We were only in week 1. We were running everywhere. They would tell you that you eat your food and taste it later. Like it was that type of thing. We went everywhere double time, meaning that we didn't walk a slow pace. We ran everywhere. We made sure we dug foxholes. We dug trenches in the cold and hard ground with a little bit a shovel, with not even a shovel, because the shovel probably was like this long, right? We had tents. We learned about cold weather and the wind, and we learned how to layer, and we learned how that even in a sleeping bag out in the cold on the ground, you could still be warm. I have what I call a whoopee, right? And I know those of you who have been out on bivouac, been out in the field, in the cold temperatures, y'all know what a whoopee is. So a whoopee is like a sleeping bag liner, right? So you roll out your sleeping bag or you roll out your bag, and it's a liner. It's mine is camouflage, right? And you take it and you put it inside. You don't get in with all your clothes on, right? Because you will sweat. If you sweat, then you get out to be cold. So what we would do is, while we're out in the field in the cold, we would make sure that we use the bathroom before, because what you hate is getting up 2-3 o'clock in the morning and having to go outside and go use the bathroom. Like, it is crazy. All the snow, the wind. You got to literally get out the sleeping bag, right? You got to literally close it up, put on the clothes, put on your boots, go out there, try not to shake and shiver to death while you're using the bathroom, right? Then, what else was it? It was just a real culture like shock. And I remember there was one guy, the guy I was telling you about, he wanted to leave. It was not for him. He could not do anything. And this is not me saying anything bad about him. I just don't think it was for him. Heck, I don't think it was for a lot of us, right? However, he took it really hard. Like, he had never been away from home, because he was 6'2", I think. And I think he weighed like 185, 200. He was a big guy, right? Big guy. And he did everything slower than we did, right? He wasn't used to that. So they sent him into the military because, again, his family lineage was military, right? So he just kept begging. He kept begging to go home. I'll never forget this. He just kept begging and kept begging. And they just treated him bad. Like, he was always in the sawdust pit. He was always doing push-ups. They were always screaming and yelling at him because he hit muscle failure. And they just kept talking about how big he was and how stupid he was and all this other good stuff like that. And so we were always trying to, like, help, make sure he was good. And then sometimes they were telling us, y'all are hindering him because you're not letting him go through. But we saw that he was really suffering, right? And so they were like, leave him alone. So he was always doing buffing. He was always cleaning. He was always doing all of that, right? He was buffering. He was buffing and doing all of that. Y'all, you know what? This is so weird, because I sometimes wonder why people are the way that they are. But let me not take away from the story about this gentleman, right? But I'm gonna talk about this right here, because a lot of times what I know, again, I started this off stating my time in the military. I don't have any qualms with me being a Black gay man who is HIV positive. I'm secure in who I am and in my life. However, the military is a part of my life, and this is my experience. In the military, there was a lot of stuff like what this person just said. There was a lot of I couldn't be who I was. There was a lot of me not being able to stand in my truth and be who I believe God made me to be, right? There was a lot of that. This year in particular, I told you all I went to a pride event at the VA. Didn't know nothing like that existed. Didn't know it was a thing, right? However, I did that, right? And so now I'm talking about 1992. If you think it's bad in 2024, think about 1992. I'm taken away from my home. I'm moved somewhere else. I'm going through basic training. I'm constantly being told that I'm weak and I'm not this. I'm constantly being told there's only two things in Texas, done and did, right? Because y'all know I don't want to get a strike. I'm constantly told this. These are all the things that people are telling people. This is why, people are unaliving themselves and doing all of these things, because we have these things that are out there. So just imagine me being side by side as someone that hates me for my very existence, but I'm watching their six. Somebody on my side that's in the same bunk area with me, right? In the same area. We are out on crawling on our bellies and doing everything and fighting. And you hate me. And number one, you hate me because of my skin. We're not even getting to, I'm a black gay man. We're not even getting to the gay part. We're not even getting to the HIV part. We're not even getting to that. I'm talking about you don't like me because of my skin, number one. And then number two, you know that I'm gay. People are treated differently. Bullying, all this stuff is so it runs rampant, right? And so I said that, y'all, to say this. This young man was in the military. I don't think that, he was gay or anything like that. But this was not a fit for him. Mentally, he could not handle it. So although we were already traumatized, right? We were trying to help him because we didn't want him to be treated incorrectly, anything like that. This young man did not know what to do or how to do it. But you know what he did? He went up to the second floor. Late night, we were all cleaning the barracks. We were all buffing the floor and stuff like that. And I tell my mom about this when I send it, the letters and stuff like that. And this young man jumps from the second story. I don't know if he was planning to hit the ground. I don't know what the thought process was, but there's a landing right up under the second floor over the first floor. So I don't know if it was built like that for a reason, like it took. So anyway, he jumps out, right? He had a very bad day. He had already failed the PT test. He had already, a lot happened that day. We got up real early, like 5 a.m. We did everything. We cleaned. We did all that. And remember, he was on duty. So he was scrubbing the barracks and all this kind of stuff like that. And y'all, it was crazy, like what was happening. And it's kind of like you look at these individuals over here and you say to yourself, like, I want to help them, but then you don't want to really get into trouble yourself or anything like that. So y'all, I'm going to tell y'all this. You can't stop me now, right? But back then, I was trying to survive being somewhere strange and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, this young man out the window hits the landing, hits the pavement, and fractures his arm. And then I think he hurts his leg or something like that. And the way that they talked to him while they were waiting on while they were trying to get him to, I don't even think it happened yet. We were all looking like, because the sawdust pit was right by where he was. And so when we looked up, we saw this. Thank y'all so much. We saw this and we said, oh my God. Yeah, we thought he had bit the dust. We thought, and no pun intended, y'all, I'm not being funny. We thought it was done, right? And luckily, they were still here with us, but the fractured arm and leg. And so it was one of those things to where they were talking about how he tried to do these things just to leave the military, but mentally he was not there. This young man cried many nights. He had anxiety. He was on edge all the time. And we were really worried about his well-being, mentally, physically, spiritually. Like, we were worried about that, but we were also worried about that they were going to push him too far, and it wouldn't be good for any of us, right? Because they had already ostracized him and all of this. And y'all, I'm saying all of this because I sometimes look back on this and I say to myself that I understand that they had to break us down to build us up. But this guy in particular, right, thought that the only way that he could be rid of this or be done with this was to, and I say thank God, right, that there was a ledge there that stopped the impact, because we don't know what would have happened, right? But it was one of those things. Then when they called the family to come and get him, it was one of those things to where the family was talking to him, because we all went to like visit with him. They allowed us to go and visit with him in the infirmary. And when they got ready to take him out, and he said that his family hated him for being, just a pile of crap. And we were just like, man, and so I thought about him a lot. Like, what is that like for people? Because I know what I've been throughout my life, right? But I had never seen anything like that. You hear stories and you hear things like that, but this individual said, I can't take this. I can't do this. And they were sick. They were sickly, right? Even though they were big and tall and looked like they could play football and do all this kind of stuff, they were not there. They were not there, right? So I spoke on that because I remember him, and I kept in contact with him probably for about until I got to my first duty station. Then I think he went across seas or something like that, right? But the crazy part about it was that was basic training. Like, it was basic training. And then I thought that it would get better at the basic training, but y'all know how things go, right? I said all that to say this. I spent 8 years in the military, and I don't deny my military experience, my Army experience, right? And I said HOOAH, and HOOAH means a lot to a lot of us who went through a lot of things that we may have been traumatized on. We may have not understood. We may not have gotten it. I didn't understand what muscle failure was because I had never experienced muscle failure, right? I didn't understand what it was like for somebody to be yelling at me, spitting in my face with their hat brim, hitting me like this all the time. I didn't understand what it was like for somebody to tell me the only two things in Texas were steers, and I didn't understand that. I didn't understand people not liking me for the color of my skin, because again, I was living in a place where it was my neighborhood, it was my community. So all of these things were a culture shock, right? But let me tell you how something that can be deemed as bad could also be great, right? Remember, I had never traveled that far before. I had never seen snow like that before. I didn't understand anything about wind chill. I didn't understand anything about cold weather training. I didn't understand anything about like hot springs and camaraderie and learning things. I didn't know anything about hand-to-hand combat like that, right? I knew about fighting because that's all we did. We fought in the streets. but hand-to-hand combat. I didn't know anything about holding a weapon or shooting a rifle, my M16. I didn't know anything about the gas chamber. And I'm not saying that was good for me, but it was an experience that I had, and I had never had it before, right? I didn't know that I could walk or do a rucksack march, right? 5 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles. I didn't know that I had that in me, right? I didn't know that I could run a 14-minute 2 miles. I had never done that before. I didn't know that I could do 70-something push-ups or sit-ups and all this kind of stuff. I didn't know that these things were possible because I had never been pushed that far in order to do that. And remember what I said. I said that I have always been this person. My family will tell you, you put it in front of me, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to push through and I'm going to do it. Because you told me that I couldn't, I'm going to, right? I wrote letters and I would call home from time to time, and I would always tell them about what's going on in my experience. But I thank God that I wrote those letters, right? Because I still have some of them. And I look over these letters periodically. Before I went to do the Pride event at the VA, I looked over those letters, right? And you have to really understand the shift, right? What I deem may be an experience may have been traumatic and nasty for somebody else, right? We don't know. But when people say to me, right, thank you for your service, like I appreciate you, what you've done, I say, HOOAH, right? Because I understand, right? Y'all with me? I heard it, right? I understood and I acknowledge. But that doesn't mean that I can't tell you about my full experience, right? And so a lot of times when you hear HOOAH, a lot of times you don't understand what's behind that. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to sit up here and say I need sympathy or anything like that. What I'm saying is that we experience things differently. But just like Marcus said, just like a couple of others, I want to say, I think, what was her name? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. What's her name said? Sierra. Yeah, talking about what it was to go through and what is understood. A lot of times we don't understand that. So I want to say this to all my veterans, to all my service members, to all branches of the military, right? A lot of times we don't know. We say what's wrong with you, right? But we don't know what happened to you, right? So when I am with a soldier, things like that, and I'm talking to someone, I'm out of the military. I've been out the military for almost 20 years, right? Or more. So I'm 23 years now, I think. Yeah, I'm a little older. I'm 23 years out the military, 24. I think a lot of times people take for granted because there are hard people in the military, right? They are going to be hard. They're going to toe the line. They're going to make sure that you know that you understood. They go hardcore. But there are others out there like myself, right, that are still military, still understand what it is, still know about the trials and tribulations that you went through in order to get to where you're at, but don't speak on it like that. I stood at the VA and spoke at the Pride event, and I said this to them, right? I said, HOOAH. We all know what HOOAH is, but we don't know what that HOOAH means, right? I understand. I understood. It's acknowledged. I heard you, but I don't think that you heard me in that, right? Like that young man that came out that window, we did not hear him. We did not understand. We thought because you were not with the collective and doing what the collective did, that you were weak, that you were all of these things. And I know now, right? I know now what HOOAH means. A lot of times I heard that, right? But I kept pushing. I understood that, but I told the lie. I acknowledged that, but I still watched your six. You understand what I'm saying? So 8 years in the military, it wasn't all bad. Was my basic training experience an experience that probably traumatized me? Yes. An experience that I learned new things and I didn't. Yes. Can be the same thing. Can be true, right? Two things can be true at the same time. However, I didn't really understand that. So I want to say to all my veterans out there, all those that are out there fighting the fight, still in the fight, but specifically for those that are out there who wants to live their lives the way that they should, I want you to look and understand what that HOOAH means. When you are talking to another soldier, another veteran, another service member, somebody, when you are somewhere and they say thank you for your service, right? And you say HOOAH, right? Understand, right? People understand that HOOAH means a lot. And I know y'all probably were thinking, well, Titan, where you going with this? How you doing? I didn't understand what that HOOAH carried because a lot of things I overlooked. A lot of things I understood, right? I understood because there was nothing else that I could do. You feel me? I acknowledged it because I already knew what the world thought of me or felt. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm talking to those out there that don't get it. HOOAH. You don't know what's in the background here. You see this in front of you today. That HOOAH means a lot. And after 8 years of being in the military, I didn't understand the impact for me that simple word, heard, understood, and acknowledged. I didn't get it, but I want to acknowledge all parts, right? I'm a Black gay man who is HIV positive. I am an Army veteran. I did my time. I serviced for my country. I served. And some people say, Titan, you always say service. Yes, I was in the service. I did what I needed to do. And just because you went this way and I went that way, or we're different, or we're from different places, that doesn't mean that you're any better than I am here or there. I'm not in competition with you. HOOAH, I'm in competition with myself to say that I made it. I made it through. I'm on the other side and I can do the things, right? You cannot sit here and tell somebody how they should feel, what they should do, because it hits everybody differently. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? 8 years Army. HOOAH. And when I say that, right? When I say that, I'm not telling you that everything was grits and gravy, flowers and trees and the birds and the bees. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I experienced my 8 years differently than you experienced yours. You're 2, you're 4, you're 20, you're 25, you're 30. We experience things differently. So y'all, when y'all are out speaking to the soldiers, when y'all are out thanking someone for their service, and you happen to hear them say HOOAH, understand the weight that HOOAH carries. Understand that although it was great traveling the world, seeing people doing things, there's also other things that come along with that. And some of us are able to come out, seek help beyond that, start the healing process. And notice I said healing process, not healed. A lot of us still carry that with us, right? So I just wanted to say thank you all for that. I am an 8-year Army vet, but I am a Black gay man who is HIV positive. I don't mince words. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to say any of that. What I am here to say is HOOAH, the HOOAH, ah. I heard you. It's understood. And it's acknowledged that you can't change me. So you can sit over there and spit and do whatever it is that you do. I'm gonna talk like, what's the name? I found worse monsters in the military, okay, for years than you. You don't do nothing with me. But that's me. I can't speak for everybody else. You feel me? So y'all, I don't necessarily speak about my military experience a lot, but since I've done the Pride event at the VA, I'm being more vocal about my military experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. But I also want to make sure that we understand that there is mental help available. There is healing available. There are counselors. There are things that you can do. And I think sometimes we don't think about that. We don't think about the mental toll it takes on a soldier to complete something, as some people told me, simple as basic training. And I'm trying to figure out what basic training they went to, because that basic training was not simple at all. And then sometimes people, we got traumas, anxiety, right? Things like that. We are, right? Exactly. That's the way that we are. So I'm here today to tell you, people will say, Titan, you move differently. Y'all know something? I'm going to say this because I'm going to get out of here because I'm past time. But I want to tell y'all something. Y'all know that I eat my food slowly. Those of you who are military are going to understand, right? I eat my food slowly. A lot of people tell me all the time whenever we go out to eat, okay, Titan is going to take his time. Titan going to make sure that I eat because throughout my military career, it was eat it and taste it later, right? And it's a hard habit to break, even though, right? Even though you think about it, basic training is 2 months. But think about the logic. You can train your body. You can change something about you in 21 days. A habit. So just imagine we running everywhere. I'm not going to lie to you. Body looked good. I was fit. In the beginning, I think I ran a 2 mile around that track, and it was like 30 something minutes because I didn't really run it. I kind of walked, right? Then it got to a point to where it was a 14-minute 2 miles, 7 minutes a mile. I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my life, right? Now I can run, but 2 miles, right? 70 something push-ups, sit-ups, things like that. Like it changed me for the better. I was a 30, 32, 29, 30 waist, 30. I was on that. I had me a little 3-pack. I didn't have a 6-pack. I had a little 3-pack, had some guns. Yeah. Chest sticking up. Oh, I was a soldier. But when I think about what I came from, how the transformation happened, right? I was like, yes. But mentally, a lot of things were pushed into my psyche that I couldn't get rid of afterwards. You right? And a lot of times people say, oh, well, Titan, you know what? Your hearing is on point. You see things that we don't see. You observe. Yes, I do. That's what I do. But I'm going to go back to the eating thing. I eat slowly. If you have ever been with me to a restaurant to eat, I do not wolf down my food ever, because my first year or so in the military, well, maybe 6 months, 8 months, I was wolfing down my food. But it didn't stop there. I kept doing it because I felt like I had to eat and taste it later. So y'all, I want to savor the flavor. I want to savor everything now. So it isn't that life is too short, right? And that's what I believe. So that's my story. So if you ever go out to eat with me, you ever do anything like that, right? Just know what it is. Just know what it is. All right, y'all. Look, y'all, it has been a great show this morning, and I want to thank y'all. I appreciate you. Y'all, a lot of times we don't truly understand why people do what they do, right? Why they say things. and why they wait a minute, hold on. And why they are the way that they are, right? I've met a lot of veterans and still some Army members or still service members, because I've met Air Force, Marines, that you don't know what's going on back here. You don't know what it took in order for me to get to where I'm at today, right? But you will come on to someone's platform and tell them that they don't deserve to be here. They should not be here, that you are not of God. You don't belong here, things like that. And you have to ask yourself, what happened to you, right? What happened to you to think or to feel that you can tell me? There was another veteran that told me that I would have never survived in the military. He didn't know that I was a veteran. Didn't know, because of the way that I look. He didn't know I spent 8 years in the military. But because of the way that I look, the way that I walked into the room, he automatically thought that I could not, right? He told me I couldn't make it through basic training. That's what he said. HOOAH. Did y'all catch it? I wasn't acknowledging him like that. I wasn't understanding him. I heard him. You feel me? But let me tell you something else, though. HOOAH, I'm acknowledging the fact that I spent 8 years. I'm acknowledging the fact that I went well beyond basic training. I'm acknowledging the fact that I got awards. I'm acknowledging the fact that I am a veteran, period. So HOOAH, I'm not acknowledging him for telling me that I'm not this. Y'all see, we got to understand. When I say HOOAH, I'm not telling you that you're right. I'm acknowledging the fact that I'm on the other side. I could not have been here. I could have been gone, but I'm here. So this is for all of you out there that are going throughout your life and you are wondering, where do you fit in? Where do you fit in? You fit in right here. There is a constant in this world, and it's love, but we need more of it. Love ourselves. Y'all know what I'm about to do. I want you to take your arms, take your hands, and if you can't do it physically, do it mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and wrap them around you. And I want you to say to yourself, right? Just like I'm going to say to myself, put your name where my name is. And I want you to repeat after me. But if nobody told you today, nobody told you yesterday, nobody told you last week, last month, or last year, I want to tell you that I love you right where you're at in this moment. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to return it with a receipt. I love you right where you're at in this moment, flaws and all. Look to your phone, look to your laptop, look to the ceiling, look to the floor, look to your mirror, look to the universe and the stars, look to the ocean, and tell yourself, right? Put your name where my name is. Titan, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Titan, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Put your name where my name is. Titan, I love you right where you're at in this moment. You will have other moments, but you will not have this moment again. Love yourself right where you're at in this moment. If it's bad, if it stinks, if it ain't right, love yourself through it. There's only one of you. And you can love everybody else. You can love yourself. HOOAH, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Y'all ready? Let's get it. All right, Marcus, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Eccentric, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Queen, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see here. Miss Funky, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Lily, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see. I had somebody else up here trying to get to. Zena, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Ungrateful Youth, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Ryan, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Atumi, I love you right where you're at in this moment. John, I love you right where you're at in this moment. The King, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Bree, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Miss Gwen, I love you right where you're at in this moment. LH, I love you right where you're at in this moment. King, the HNIC, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Willie, 3, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Tiffany, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Jasmine, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Insomnia, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see. Sierra, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Seashell, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Who else did I have? Nephew, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Veronica, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Marcy, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Rain, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Stacy, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see. Mississippi, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Miss Funky, I love you right where you're at in this moment. The King, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see, who else did I have? User 570, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Cynthia, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Paula, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Lucy Lou, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Brian, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see, who else did I have? Fabulous, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Patara, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Ice, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Carla, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Let's see what else did I have. For Q, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Avina, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Terrell, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Terry, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Keisha, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Sean, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Paula, I love you right where you're at in this moment. Pretty lady, I love you right where you're at in this moment. And, okay. Tyrone, I love you right where you're at. You better call Tyrone. I love you right where you're at in this moment. Look, y'all, I believe that love is love, and that you don't have to do anything but love yourself right where you're at in this moment. Everything else will follow, right? Everything else will follow. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be great. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. And this is what I want to say to you all. HOOAH. This is what I want you to do. The next time something happens, HOOAH. I heard you, Titan. Okay? I understood where you've come from, Titan. And I acknowledge that you're still here. Yeah, that part. Y'all be great. Look, I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. You know what? Do what you do. Do what you do. Make sure you are good. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. So I want to say something to you all, because people will say that there's a lot of things that, so I want to acknowledge something. So somebody earlier said that it's HOOAH, HUA, right? I understand what it is. Heard, understood, acknowledged. I got that. However, we would say, and this is how it was spelled with us, HOOAH. So I want you to, if you Google this, right? If you Google this, I don't want you to be confused. It means the same thing, right? HOOAH just is an acknowledgement that that's what it is, right? That's what it is. It's not a no. I heard you. I understand. I acknowledge, right? That's basically what it is. So don't feel like it's wrong in that sense, because one of you said HOOAH. Yes. HUA. Yes. Same thing. If you Google it, it's going to come back to the same thing, right? It's going to come back to the same thing. People will argue that it's HUA. People will argue that it's HOOAH. However, y'all just know what it is, right? So for my show this morning, I said 8 years Army, HOOAH, HOOAH, right? So I just wanted to clarify that. If you Google it, if you ask military service members, people are going to give you that. HOOAH, HOOAH. It's the same thing, y'all. I'm acknowledging. I heard you, right? And I understood. Same thing. Same thing. So don't beat yourself up. Don't feel like you got to choose one or the other, but just know what it is. HOOAH. So y'all, let's go on and sip one last time and get out of here. Oh, that was good. I got to figure out what I put in this morning. That was good. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love you. Y'all know what it is. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, it's Titan in the Morning. Y'all come out. Y'all check me out. Y'all do all of those things. And I love you. I love you. I love you for being who you are. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Before I go, I want to tell y'all. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Y'all, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm moving my chair. Hold on. Let me make sure that I get it. Hold on. All right, y'all. So I'm going to do this real quick. I love you too, Veronica. Thank you so much, Eccentric. I'm going to do this real quick and put this in for y'all. Hold on. And before I get out of here, let me just talk about it just for a second. Okay? Let me just talk about it for a second. Hold on. All right, I think I'm almost there. Hold on. All right, y'all. So here it is. I just put it into the comments and I pinned it. It's the Power, Position, and Purpose Journal, right? It is live on Amazon. So this is my Power, Position, and Purpose Journal. I've talked about it before. I've talked about the power, position, and purpose. I've talked about your power, your position, and your purpose. It's on Amazon. I put the link down in the comments. But if you do not have the link or you don't want to click a link, you can just go over to Amazon and type in Titan Capri. Look, simple, ain't it? Simple. But it's a working journal, y'all, and it's basically for you to go through and basically see. And I am a journaling person. I journal all the time. I write all the time. And it's basically asking you, what is your power? What is your position? And what is your purpose, right? Okay. And then it also will talk about today I feel, right? Today I create, things like that. And then it has a space for today for you to be able to go ahead and put in how you're truly feeling. Now, this is what I want to say about this journal, right? This journal is a truth serum for me because a lot of times we keep things in here and a lot of times we want to get them out, right? And we don't know how to get them out. I'm not saying that you can't have a journal. Please get you one, right? I would love it if you get this one, right? And then write in it and things like that. But it's a truth journal. It's for you to do. So the word for you in the beginning of the journal, it says blessed. And let me read it for you real quick, and then I'm going to let y'all go. It says a word for you, and the word is blessed. Hello, and thank you for choosing this journal. I like to believe that journaling is a way to acknowledge and understand where you are in life. HOOAH. Okay. I would like to offer you a couple of things for this journey. I am worthy. You are worthy. You deserve to be here. HOOAH, right? I belong here. You belong here. You are not a mistake. Things are going to happen. Life is going to life, but you belong here. HOOAH, right? And you are a blessing. You are a blessing. You are a blessing, period. No matter what they say, no matter who says it, no matter how they say it, right? So we're going to hear this. We're going to understand this, and we're going to acknowledge it. I am worthy. I belong here, and you are a blessing. HOOAH. Now go on over and get your journal. Go on over and write in your journal. Talk about your day. Be honest with yourself about who you are. Understand, those of us that are veterans and those of us that have a military career, understand that you can write it down. You can talk about it. You can be about it. Be real with who you are. HOOAH, 8 years in the Army. And what I want to do is I want you to hear me, understand, and acknowledge. And I'm not talking about you have to hear me, hear yourself. Go on over and get it. Go on over and good. Say it one last time with me, y'all. HOOAH. Yes, indeed. Until next time, y'all be gravy. I love y'all. Talk to you soon, baby. Yes. Lucy Lou said, I just wrote HOOAH in big letters on the inside of my journal. Thank you, Lucy. Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all, things may not always look the same, feel the same, be the same, but y'all know we can always understand. We can bridge that gap. We can hear it, we can understand it, and we can acknowledge it, period. Thank y'all so much for being who you are and loving me as I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for that. Peace and blessings to you. Now, look, y'all know it's every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm here. You should be here. Tell a friend, like, follow, subscribe, and do all of that stuff. And I want to see y'all next time. Don't worry about those naysayers. Don't worry about those people. Y'all come on with me. Come on with me. Until next time, y'all be gravy. Y'all be good. Talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.